The days immediately after we took Jonny to residential treatment are still a blur. I don't remember a lot from that time. But after all these years, there is one thing that stands out. One thing that encouraged us when we were so discouraged. One thing I haven't shared with many people, but I'm going to share it with you today. Did you finally realize your dream of having a family, only to have your happily ever after turn into a nightmare? Do you find yourself up late at night wondering why nothing you try as a parent is working? Are you searching for adoption resources and a support team but can't find any? Hi neighbor, welcome to Anchors of Encouragement. I'm Tim Maudlin, husband, adoptive parent, Bible class teacher, and the persistent encourager. I too felt the joy of having a family of my own, and I wished we could be like other adoptive families. I knew we were doing our best, but nothing seemed to work. And I kept asking myself, why is this happening to us? In Anchors of Encouragement, my mission is to throw adoptive parents a lifeline and be your anchor, to offer biblical mindset support and to provide stability when life gets unstable. If you're ready for real and raw talk that leads to peace beyond comprehension, so you not only survive but thrive in life's storms, this podcast is for you. Hope and healing are on the way. Hi neighbor, welcome to another episode of Anchors of Encouragement. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. In the very first episode of this podcast, I shared the story when we took our son Jonny to residential treatment. That story has served as a benchmark for this podcast. We've considered things that got us to that day, and we've considered things that happened to us after. Today I want to share a story that happened to us a few days after we left Jonny with complete strangers in residential treatment. That was a tough time for our family. Before I get into the story, I want to share a review from one of our listeners. Leisha writes, "Doing what I can. Love the practical encouragement and real talk in this show. It is hard to understand the adoption journey from the outside, and knowing that others have experienced similar things and walked through it well is so encouraging." Thank you so much, Leisha. This review is encouraging to me, and it really helps this podcast reach so many more people. As I'm recording this episode today, the podcast currently is ranking in the top 2.5% globally. That's a nice number. And it doesn't reflect me, it reflects you. It's amazing because of reviews like Leisha's, and it's amazing because of listeners like you. And I want to thank you for supporting this podcast. And I would like to encourage you to leave a review like Leisha did, because it's reviews like that that will help this podcast reach so many more people. Today I want to speak primarily to those of you who are friends of adoptive parents. As I said in the opening, the days immediately after we took Jonny to residential treatment are still pretty much a blur. I just don't remember a lot from that time. Even all these years later, it's still pretty much a blur. But there is one thing that stands out, one thing that encouraged us when we were so discouraged. After we left Jonny at residential treatment, we were reeling. Our life felt like it was spinning out of control. We dropped Jonny off on a Wednesday, and over the next few days, we were trying to process what we had just done. We had left him with complete strangers. Some of those strangers have since become friends, and you've heard them on this podcast. People like Jane Baker and Eric Nelson. But at the time, we didn't know them. We were trusting that they would be able to help us help our son. Other than our family and a few friends, most people didn't know we had taken Jonny to residential treatment. But when we weren't at Bible study on Wednesday night, our church family started to figure out something was going on. Some of them already knew. There was one family that was watching our younger son. I don't remember exactly how we handled this, but there was some kind of an announcement made. It might have been an email. It might have been something said at the service. But anyway, our church family became aware that Jonny wouldn't be coming home for a while. As Sunday approached, we were a nervous wreck. We knew this was no time to abandon God. We needed Him more than ever. we were going to go to worship services. We didn't know what to expect there, though. The morning service, it's still a blur. I don't remember what happened. Same goes for the afternoon service. I don't remember what happened. I'm sure there were hugs and words of encouragement, but I just don't remember. It was such a stressful time in our life. The one thing I do remember is this. As we were walking out of the building on Sunday afternoon, someone walked up to us and handed us a bag. Nothing was said. They just handed us a bag and walked off. When we got home, we discovered that this bag was full of cards from our church family. They were throwing us a lifeline. I still have that bag of cards today. In preparation for this episode, I pulled those cards out and read them again today. Here's one of the messages. It comes from Isaiah chapter 43, beginning in verse 2. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. Those were words that we needed to hear at that point. Those were true lifelines for us. And that's just one example of the many different messages that we received. In the intro to this podcast, I mentioned that my mission is to throw adoptive parents a lifeline and be your anchor. I try to encourage adoptive parents to reach for an anchor. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Anchors provide safety. Anchors provide security. Anchors provide stability. And anchors provide support. But you can't get safety, security, stability, or support unless you are tethered to an anchor. It won't do you any good. That's why this episode is directed to those of you who are friends of adoptive parents. Because just like in our case, we had anchors who threw a lifeline to us. Let's get to your daily doable and consider some ways that you can take this simple idea of what our church family did for us and how you can apply it in your life. I want to share with you 3 ways you can throw adoptive parents a lifeline with a simple card. Number 1, maybe you don't know what to say. I get it. I've been there. That's an awful feeling. The card I shared had a verse from Isaiah, but that wasn't the only card that had Bible verses in it. Several did. These individuals looked for verses that meant a lot to them and shared them with us to encourage us. Number 2, others wrote, I don't understand what you're going through, but I want you to know we care and we love you. And number 3, others who knew a little bit more about our stories wrote some of the most heartfelt messages to us. Regardless, those cards, to this day, mean so much to us. As we recap, I want to encourage you to throw your adoptive friends a lifeline. Tether yourself to them. Sending a simple card might just be the one thing that gets your adoptive friend through a difficult day and season. That's all for this episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, this is Tim encouraging you to do what you can now. If this podcast has given you the courage and confidence to face storms in your life, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend about the show. Take a screenshot of this episode and share it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Tim Maudlin. You can also connect with me in my Facebook group, Anchors of Encouragement. So until next time, this is Tim encouraging you to do what you can now.